Mic'd up. But we've had a few issues with the touchscreen, which will hopefully work. But this is the last Weather Studio live before the start of summer. So there's a lot to talk about because summer starts on the 1st of June, which is Saturday. Now, summer may not start for you on the 1st of June. That's just meteorologically how we measure the season. So you can have summer whenever you want. I don't want to dictate to you, but meteorologically, summer starts on the 1st of June. Summer is June, July, and August. So spring is coming to an end this week. And it's not the only thing that's starting either. There's the official start of the hurricane season.
Yeah.
And the Indian monsoon
starts around this time.
Around about
not started yet.
June,
not started yet.
It's a little bit delayed. Let's take a tour around the world and see what's going on. If our touchscreen will work. Yeah!
Ta-da!
Oh, fantastic!
Thank God for small mercies, eh? Here we go. There's South Asia. Drifting away from me, and it's hot at the moment.
Whoa!
Isn't it? It is hot. You get a heat wave there before the monsoon starts, and the monsoon is a little bit late.
Well, it's quite a bit late, actually. It's around about, we think, 2 weeks late. Normally, by this time of year, it would be across Sri Lanka and just getting into the southernmost tip of India. So the average start date is the 1st of June in the south of India, but we are way behind. It's not even established across Sri Lanka yet. So just speaking to Jason Kelly, our global guidance unit guy upstairs, and he was saying, yeah, it's around about 2 weeks late, and there's no real signs of it catching up. Most of the computer models, the longer range forecast, have it a little bit behind for the next few weeks. It isn't good news because it's obviously essential for this part of the world for agriculture. And one of the key reasons, the Indian Ocean dipole is really strong at the moment. And it's a bit like El Nino, the Indian Ocean dipole. It's the range in sea surface temperatures across from Africa to Indonesia. And it's really warm here at the moment, and it's really quite cool here at the moment. So there's quite a strong gradient in the temperature, and that means that the monsoon rains are just a little bit behind schedule. It also means that there's some quite heavy rain on the Kenyan coast at the moment. That's been in place for a couple of weeks because obviously the warmer the waters, the easier it is to get rain out of them. So it's quite warm and quite wet here, but across India, those monsoon rains are a little bit behind. That's not to say they won't catch up. It's not to say necessarily it's going to be a weak season, but it's not a good start to the monsoon rains. And they are, as I say, a really essential part of life across parts of India. So yes, we'll be keeping our eyes on that. And there is a video actually on our sister channel, isn't it? Learn About Weather, that you and Claire made, all about
monsoons.
All about the monsoon rain. So go and watch that on our YouTube channel, Learn About Weather, after this, of course. Because the touchscreen's working marvellously. What else are we going to show on this very
super fast
warm world?
Zoom around the world. And yeah, of course, the official start date of the North Atlantic hurricane season begins on the 1st of June. And a few forecasts have come out, a few seasonal forecasts for the hurricane season, typically looking at an average season. That's what the forecasts are suggesting this year. So, of course, we'll be keeping our eyes on that. No activity in the North
official
Atlantic.
start was the 1st of June because there was a storm last week, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a named storm.
Was last week, but the official
Andrea
season runs from the 1st of June until November. We can have them much earlier in the year, but this is when the official start of the season starts. But at the moment, it's really hot across Florida, actually. High pressure and temperatures significantly above average. And the heat across the south has helped to spark the tornadoes that we've seen over the past couple of weeks. It has been really dramatic because there's been a big temperature contrast across the US, as you often get at this time of year.
Yeah. You can see the heat there extending across central and southern parts of the United States. A big temperature contrast there. You often get that. And that, of course, impacts our jet stream. So we'll be talking today about the jet stream over the UK. We talk about it every week. It's that important. It's that interesting as well.
It is that interesting, definitely. Thanks for sending your questions in. Thanks for your patience so far as well. People waiting for this to start. You sent in a lot of questions already. Louis Slay was the first question we've got here on YouTube. Planning to go plane spotting at Birmingham Airport on Saturday. Is the weather going to be on my side? Well, I'm not sure what kind of weather's good for plane spotting.
Well, you don't want low cloud, do you?
You don't want low. Wow, that's dramatic, and they come down. If I was plane spotting,
don't tell me you're an experienced plane spotter.
I'm not. But if I were, I would want a strong crosswind So you get all that wobbly.
Oh, that'd be good.
That wobbly.
Not for the passengers, but yeah.
Well, but it's a bit of fun. See the skill of a pilot when it's like that, rather than just on autopilot and landing it. But anyway, I digress. I know not much about plane spotting, as you can probably tell. But Louis, yes, the weather looks pretty good. It'll be shorts and t-shirt weather. It really will. By then, it could be really quite warm in Birmingham. Temperatures in the mid-20s, possibly by Saturday there. So yes, we'll have more on that in a moment. Ollie Foster. Going camping in the New Forest this weekend. How's the weather looking? Pretty good, Ollie. Pretty good. Saturday, Sunday, a few more question marks. Yes, it's warming up this week. How long will it last? That's the big debate, isn't it? We'll have more on that as well. When will the weather be changing? But Saturday looks pretty good. And this one I really want to answer. Chris Penfoldivani. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, Chris. On YouTube. Hi, how warm will it be on Saturday in Liverpool? Well, that kind of depends on the result in Madrid, if you ask me. If Liverpool win the Champions League final, I imagine Saturday night in Liverpool will be red hot. Whereas if they lose, but of course they won't lose, the red men going all the way. So yeah, the weather on Saturday in Liverpool looks pretty warm, I would say, warm and humid. And if they win the Champions League, it could be red hot.
A question from Ross Middleham. Is it really going to thunder here? That's Ross in Corfu. Ross, we're not your personal weather forecasters. If you want a full report on Corfu, you can, of course, go onto the Met Office website. We work with Ross, so we can be rude to him.
Yes, but please do keep sending your questions in for any forecasts or anything relating to the weather over the next few days. What else are we talking about today, Aidan?
We're talking about the weather in the UK over the next week or so. A lot of things are happening. It's going from cool to warm or even hot, and in between there'll be a lot of rainfall in some places, but very little rainfall in other places. So there's plenty to talk about. Let's start off with... here we go. Dramatic pause.
Dramatic pause.
Because I didn't know what was happening next. Let's start off with a look at the UK. And this is
today.
This is today. Well, swiftly going into tonight. And
it'll be another cold night in Scotland.
Let's go back to today.
And today in Lerwick, their record low maximum for Shetland is on the threat because of their lowest ever maximum
for May
is 9.7 or something, and they were only about 8 degrees an hour or so ago. So
wow,
they could get to that because it's been very cold in northern Scotland recently, and temperatures will be rising here as well as across southern parts.
Wintry showers in the north.
A few wintry showers around as well. So it's a showery day today. What's this? A warm front coming in.
That's right. So overnight there'll be clear spells. The showers today concentrated in the east. They eventually fade away, but some of them will continue into the evening, overnight, and then clear spells, temperatures falling away because we've got that cool air in place. And then let's pause it there. Tomorrow morning, if you're heading to work, 9 a.m. And actually lots of sunshine for Scotland. Still got those showers affecting the north of Scotland. Plenty of sunshine for eastern England, but you can see there a change as the weather front comes in from the west into Ireland, Wales, the southwest, some damp weather on the way. And that wet weather pushes in, and for some parts of Western Britain, it hangs around over the next few days, essentially until the start of the weekend. So there's some very wet weather on the way. But it's turning cloudy everywhere tomorrow, isn't it? And you've got the brightness hanging on in the far north and the far east, but the grey clouds spreading in elsewhere. Increasingly damp there, central southern Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales and Western
England. See the warm front there. So that's the warm front. Under here is a wodge of warm air. Warm air holds more moisture, so around the coasts in the west it's going to be misty, it's going to be murky, and then these weather fronts coming in will bring more rain to western areas over the next few days. So yes, it is getting warmer, but it's not going to be getting warmer everywhere. But
yeah, it probably won't feel that warm tomorrow because of...
it will in the east. It will feel a lot warmer in the east tomorrow because temperature will be higher compared to today's values, but then it starts cold and the cloud comes in across Scotland, so 8 or 9 degrees with cloud and rain. That's, yeah, again, not very pretty, not very warm.
Doesn't warm up in the far north, does it?
No, they stay in the cold air in Shetland until later this week when temperatures should be on the rise.
So this is, as we start off Thursday, a lot of cloud cover across the UK. And what you can see here are the blues. They're just persisting across some of these higher areas of Western Britain, so Western Scotland, Northwest England, North Wales, Northern Ireland as well. And what you're seeing there, something called orographic enhancement of the rainfall.
Orographic enhancement.
Orographic, another way, a fancy way of saying hills. Right, higher parts of the UK, and of course they tend to be in the west. Let's zoom out there.
So the hills, orographic hills enhancement, just increasing that rainfall. So yes, the hills just pep the rain up. That's why the mountains, Snowdonia and the Highlands of Scotland are that much wetter than other parts of the world, because other parts of the UK, because they get a lot of rain, and that's where most of the more rain falls on the mountains. Yeah. Jet stream.
You can see that, can't you? The jet stream is starting through the next few days. It's diving to the south of the UK at the moment, and over the next few days it will move north. But as it moves north, it's drawing up all this humid air into the west of the UK. And as you say, all that rainfall just pushes against those higher ground areas, the hilly parts of Western Britain, and you just get the rainfall orographically enhanced, just like that. Big trail of rainfall out to the west coming in, and it stays there across western parts of the UK through to the end of the week. So this is this is going well, isn't it? This is
going very well. The touchscreen is just in a mood.
Clearly haven't got the magic touch today.
You haven't, have you? The touchscreen doesn't want to know. But basically,
here we go.
Oh,
it was
finally,
worth the
just
wait.
as you start to move on, the touchscreen comes into life. It's almost as if it knows. So this is the rainfall over the next few days.
Where it will be concentrated. So this is the probability of an inch of rainfall. So the concentrated areas there means it's a higher probability of an inch of rainfall, but in some places, of course, it will be more than an inch.
25 millimetres if you're working in decimal.
Look at you. Very modern.
I'm down with the kids. I'm down with the kids.
So Western Scotland, far west of Northern Ireland, Northwest England, North Wales. Of course, there might be people on half term this week visiting beautiful places like the Lake District, and it's just going to be damp there for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's not great weather. This is the pain we have to go through to get to the hot and sunny weather for the weekend. The jet stream moving its way northwards, and in the meantime bringing some wet weather to western parts of Britain over
the next few days still a bit mixed. We are talking about a warming up, but it's going to take a few days yet. So if you're on half term this week, yes, be a bit more hit and miss, and there'll be a lot of cloud around tomorrow. So don't expect a heat wave to start tomorrow. Lots of really good questions coming in. Thanks for sticking with us. Will a Spanish plume be established over the weekend into next weekend? Not a classic setup for that, is it? Not a classic. The high pressure is moving. It's more of a tropical air mass rather than coming up from the south. So it's not a classic, but that doesn't necessarily mean we won't see thundery showers breaking things down and changing in the weekend, as we will see in just a moment. There was a question about sea surface temperatures that I've lost now. This is a good question from Ivan Lee on YouTube. Is August the wettest summer month that the United Kingdom always experiences? Well,
maybe not every year, but on average, yeah, it's the wettest month.
Of the 3 months, June, July and August, August is statistically the wettest right across the UK. And that's mostly because that's when you get more heat, really. So you have more capability of producing heavier, thundery downpours, but they are often hit and miss. So, the rainfall in August is a bit patchier. It's not as consistent, but it is, on average, the wettest of the 3 months. Good question there. Keep them coming in. Will the UK ever get large tornadoes like the USA? Well, no, because they get it because of their geographical setup, basically, and
we're just a bit smaller.
We're just a bit smaller. We don't have the extremes, really. You've got the really warm air coming up from the Gulf of Mexico and the cool air coming over the huge mountains of the Rockies. We just don't have that geographical setup. We get tornadoes in this country. We get a lot of tornadoes in this country per square metre. But yeah, we're not going to get those same kind of scales unless something dramatic changes with our geography.
Alex Edwards on Facebook, will there be another hot summer? Of course, last year was the joint hottest summer on record. And towards the end, we're going to be looking at what the reason was for last year's summer and whether we're looking at similar conditions at the moment or whether things are looking quite different. So we'll be briefly looking at that at the end. But it's so far, well, it's not been like last year.
No, let's take a look. Let's take a look at, if we can. Yeah, hooray! Let's take a look at the next few days.
Okay.
And how warm are we going to get? Because we're talking about the warmth. We talked about the jet stream earlier. It's down to the south. It's sort of across the UK, bringing in that conveyor belt of moisture at the moment.
This is Wednesday, Thursday, and you can see northern half of Britain underneath that jet stream coming in from the west, bringing in those higher humidities, bringing a lot of rainfall, but you can see it gradually pushing north. And let's put on the temperatures, and the temperatures aren't working on that one. So if you just picture in your mind some red colours.
So by Saturday, the test stream hasn't really moved that far, has it? But you can see it's a little bit weaker, and it's just allowing the warmth to waft up from the south. And so temperatures by Saturday, well, you need the sunshine. You really do need the sunshine to really lift those temperatures. So it's a question of where we're going to see the temperatures rise the most. And it's most likely with a westerly wind that we'll see eastern areas with the top temperature. That's where we're looking at the sunniest conditions. So this map shows us how we're expecting the temperatures to vary. I'm not sure if you can read that clearly, but it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And this is the UK. Now, these are not reflection of the actual temperatures. These are a reflection of temperatures compared to average, so that's key. So on Thursday, you can see there that the blue colours persisting over northern Scotland. Temperatures still here, well below average on Thursday. Elsewhere, the white is around about average, so not far off average on Thursday. Just hints of a bit of orange there across the east, so that's where the top temperatures will be on Thursday because we've got westerly winds. On Friday, they're rising a bit more. Look at this, Saturday, England and Wales in particular, hotspots there. What we're looking at, +6, maybe +8 degrees above average. So that could mean temperatures getting into the mid, even high 20s across some parts of the east. So that's the peak day in terms of widespread warmth across England and Wales. Now notice across Scotland here and Northern Ireland, it's still white, so we're not talking massively above average, but compared to what it has been, actually, these temperatures will feel quite a bit warmer. Yeah. So we're looking at probably high teens if we get some sunshine, which is most likely across the northeast. And then by Sunday, well, there's a lot of question marks about Sunday because things could well be changing. Well, that warmth could be further east still, or it could have gone completely, depending on when we get that change.
We'll be looking at that in a moment.
But at the moment, Saturday is the day of the widespread warmth.
Yeah, a lot of confidence on that. Saturday, certainly across England and Wales, very warm or hot. And these are the kinds of temperatures on Saturday, so you can take a look at where you live and the kinds of temperatures you can expect. Yeah, nothing extraordinary in the north, but certainly a big improvement on what we've got at the moment. So high teens, low 20s across, say, northern and northeastern parts of Scotland, enhanced by a firn effect. So that's where the wind moves over the higher ground to the west and warms up as it comes down again. So yeah, 20, 21, 22 degrees northeast corner of Scotland, eastern England as well doing well out of that firn effect potentially, but widely low to mid 20s across England and Wales, somewhere in the southeast, 28.
And this is still a few days away. You know, we're talking about Saturday, so things could change in terms of exact amounts of sunshine, and it could go a little bit higher than that. But if it does stay a bit cloudy, it may be a bit lower than that. But these are the kind of ballpark figures that we're looking at if you're planning your weekend activities. They're the kind of temperatures we're looking at.
It's not going to be sunny everywhere, is it? Because of course the jet stream's being pushed north, but it's not well to the north, and so it's still carrying with it some cloud and some showers across northern Britain. So typically, draw a halfway line there, north to south. South, probably just a sunny day on Saturday in the north.
And notice how the coasts are that much cooler. And that's as you'd expect at this time of year. Just had a good question actually about the coastal temperatures from Philip Matthew O'Malley on YouTube. When does the sea surface temperature start to rise around the British Isles and coasts? Well, they've started to rise.
They start to rise in March. That's when they are at their coldest.
Yes, so they are on the rise, but they're still relatively pretty chilly. So the sea surface temperatures are nowhere near their peak. They're on the rise, but they're still a lot colder than the land, which is why any kind of sea breeze or any breeze off the ocean or the seas around us is going to bring cooler conditions, which is why the coasts are that much cooler at this time of year, and the top temperatures are likely to be in the urban areas across the inland parts from Birmingham down to East Anglia in the south.
And with the winds likely to be coming like this, probably North Sea coast will still be reasonably warm. But this kind of weather can lead to a sea breeze, so you can start off with the wind coming from this direction, and if it's light enough, then you start to, as temperatures rise inland, you start to get a sea breeze later in the day. So that can happen at this time of year as well. So yeah, a bit cooler at the coast, but very pleasant in the sunshine, which there will be plenty of sunshine. We've got high UV levels expected across southern parts of Britain, more moderate further north, and of course there'll be a bit more cloud further north as well, and some showers about for Scotland, Northern Ireland, perhaps Northern England as well. However, you can still burn with moderate levels of UV. So
yeah, this time of year it's really important to put the sun cream on, even if it's cloudy and even if it's cool like it is today, because it's not really relevant to the temperatures necessarily. So please do make sure you've got the sun cream on. If any hint of sunshine this week in particular, you've got your kids are on half term, then make sure you've got the sun cream on, because we're getting to that time of year where the sun is at its peak. Even though it doesn't feel that warm out there today, the sun is just as strong.
We're also getting to grass pollen season. Tree pollen season's over. Now, the majority of tree hay fever sufferers suffer from grass pollen.
95%?
95%. 20% suffer from tree pollen, which means that there are an unlucky few who suffer from both, if you do the maths. So grass pollen, hay fever sufferers are, well, it's bad news once the sun comes out at this time of year, because you can get a sudden burst of grass pollen.
Grass pollen levels are low today and will be again tomorrow. That is related to the temperature, but yes, we are, as the temperature rises this week, just start to expect that if you're a hay fever sufferer, particularly grass pollen, if you normally get it in June, then you may well start to see the symptoms building up as this week goes on.
Almost ideal conditions on Saturday across England and Wales for grass pollen, because you've got mid to high 20s. Those are the kinds of ideal temperatures.
Because it can get too hot, right?
Yeah, once it gets above about 28 degrees, it's too hot, then grass pollen starts to fall away again. But mid to high 20s, then it boosts grass pollen. Lots of sunshine, particularly if we've had some wet weather. Not everywhere. It's been wet, of course. There have been a lot of dry conditions across sort of eastern and central and southeastern parts of Britain.
Lots of advice on our website about how to handle hay fever issues, and UV for that matter as well. So go to the Met Office website for more information about that. And how long is the warm weather going to last is the big question. How long are we going to see these kind of temperatures? What's going to happen after Saturday?
Well, let's pause it there. That is...
So this is Saturday going into Sunday.
This is Sunday morning.
A cold front.
Yeah, so this is one computer model simulation, and what it shows is low pressure to the northwest of the UK, a cold front crossing the country, potentially a thundery cold front, because it's bringing in colder air from the west and it's bashing against that mild or hot weather to the east. And so, yeah, potential for a thundery breakdown. But this is just one computer simulation, and there are lots of simulations that say slightly different things. They all have the same theme, but they have different timings, a timing difference of about 12 hours. So this could be happening at 9 a.m. on Sunday, or it could be happening at 9 p.m. on Sunday. So
it could happen Saturday evening.
Or Saturday evening.
So yes, we're pretty happy that this is what's going to happen. The jet stream is going to drive south. A little low pressure system is likely to develop, and this cold front will swing through and eventually push away all the warm and humid air. But the timing of that is crucial, and the timing is important to how violent the thunderstorms get.
Yeah, and this is just a nice basic simple picture that I drew using my schematic. I've come up with a complicated way of saying a simple drawing. There's the jet stream later this weekend. It's diving to the south, out to the west of the UK, low pressure coming along, and that will lead to a breakdown. So we're fairly confident there'll be a breakdown later in the weekend as that jet stream dives south. And then we're back to more or less what we've got at the moment. So low pressure diving to the south of the UK, and the jet stream bringing cooler air and some showers. But it's that timing. So whether that happens early Sunday and we all have a cool, showery day, or whether it happens on Monday.
We'll have more as the week goes on, so make sure you're following us on all the social media channels, and the 10-day trends will probably really focus on this as well. That's our longer range forecast that we do that goes on YouTube and Facebook. I'll be doing that, we're recording that tomorrow. So this time tomorrow afternoon it should be going up on YouTube, so we'll have more on that then about the breakdown, about the uncertainties within the computer models. But yes, it will happen. It's not going to be a prolonged hot spell. It doesn't look like, what did you say at the morning meeting? Summer arrives on Saturday and goes on Sunday.
That's right, yeah.
So yes, it is going to change, not a prolonged hot spell. If you don't like the warmth, that's probably good news. Some really good questions coming in. Thank you for those.
Lion King Gamer, YouTube, are we likely to see the first severe thunderstorms on Sunday night? Because actually we haven't seen much thunder action in terms of summer thunderstorms yet, have we? So yeah, could do, but it's the timing that is uncertain, and of course where you are, because these kinds of summer thunderstorms are so hit and miss. and difficult to pin down until they start.
Yeah, so interesting. We had thunderstorms yesterday, but they're kind of cold weather source. So as the cold air is coming down from the north and it's warming up gradually from beneath, and then you get the thunderstorm. These summer kind of thunderstorms, you've got the hot air in place, and actually then you have cooler air coming in at higher levels aloft, and that destabilizes the atmosphere. So you've got the hot air and the cold air. So yeah, different beasts, and the summer ones hold more moisture because the air at the surface is
much more dramatic.
Much more dramatic, much more intense. You get the dramatic light shows and torrential rain, much more likely to give flooding. So yeah, although we have seen thunderstorms, not the same kind. So yes, we could see some on Sunday night, we could see some on Saturday night. There's that uncertainty about when we get those thundery downpours. Diamond Ender Pearl 0135. Will Beverley in East Yorkshire get thunderstorms this week? Oh, no, I know Beverley very well, and will he get thunderstorms?
What's she like?
She could get thunderstorms. There could be thunderstorms there, yes, but I say just stay tuned to the forecast because it's just too early to say exactly when and where these storms are likely to happen. Jason Stanley on Facebook, 200,000 people heading to Glastonbury at the end of June. What's it going to be like then? Wellies or flip-flops? Short answer is it's just too early to say, really. There's not a lot of point giving you any kind of details for a specific location. What was it, three weeks away, something like that? It's just too early to say. So be prepared for both at this stage, and make sure you're following the Met Office on social media for very latest updates as we get closer to the time.
Right. So a few people have been asking about whether we'll have another hot summer like last summer. And, well, the short answer is it's unlikely. It was unlikely at the start of last year that we would see a hot summer like last summer. I think looking at some of the research that the climatologists and climate scientists have done on these kinds of hot summers, their likelihood is increasing because of global warming, but they are still relatively unlikely each year. So the chances are we won't have another hot summer. And the reasons behind last summer, I guess it's still an active area of research, but one of them is to do with sea surface temperatures in the North Atlantic.
That's what we're looking at here.
That's what we're looking at.
Sea surface temperatures.
So this is the North Atlantic, there's the UK, and this is around about this time last year. And what you are seeing is much colder than average.
It's an anomaly. These are not the sea surface temperatures. This is
exactly. So blues are colder and reds and oranges are warmer than average seas. And what you're seeing is something called a tripole. Now,
had a dipole and now we've had a tripole.
I just had to up it.
You did,
all right? I don't know what the 4 version would be. A quadpole.
Quadpole.
So what we had there is blue, oranges, blue, and what you had then was low pressure systems moving well to the north. A lot of rainfall for Iceland. They're wettest summer on record. That's where the low pressure systems were going. So they were heading up there because of this pattern. Now, I'm just showing this because I want to show that this year, of course, every year is different. Every summer's different. There are many factors involved. So this isn't a forecast by any means. But this year, there are some similarities, but at the same time, there are differences. So this is the current sea surface temperature anomaly pattern across the North Atlantic. You've got a slightly different position of the blues and the oranges, and it's less marked overall. That's the main thing. It's
There's a similar kind of shape to it, but it's slightly further south.
There are more blues here, and so the short answer is that no 2 years are alike. The chances of a very hot summer like last summer are fairly small every year anyway, and at the moment the factors that caused last summer are not exactly the same. That's the short answer. And you know, we were already a month in effectively to last summer at this time, because May was the first very warm and sunny month, and last summer's heat was really May to July. August was more average. That's not to say that we won't have hot weather this summer. Of course, it can come along at short notice, like the high temperatures this weekend. It's just not going to be as prolonged as the weather that we saw this time last year.
Yes, and Craig Edwards on Facebook. So what's the odds on 30-degree temperatures this summer? Well, I think the odds on 30 degrees at some point are pretty short, to be fair, because at some point we're going to reach 30 degrees. I would have thought it'd be very unusual if you don't get 30 degrees at some point through the summer. So yes, we will at some point get there, I'm sure, but well, we'll have the prolonged spells of 30 degrees. well, it's just, as I say, you just can't really give the detail at this kind of stage. Just make sure you're following the Met Office very latest weather updates throughout the summer and watching our long-range forecasts or watching programs like this and sticking with us on social media as well. So we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. There's our sister channel, Learn About Weather, which has much more in-depth videos explaining things like the jet stream and like El Nino, for example. We're on Twitter, of course, for regular updates, Instagram, and we are on Snapchat as well. Keep your questions coming in. Thanks again for sticking with it. I think Aidan deserves a round of applause for sticking with the screen. Sorry, it's been a little bit sticky. Again, we will have it working sometime very soon. But thank you very much for watching. We'll be back next week.
See you later.